I've got some gessoing ahead of me because I said I would do it. So, somebody was moving, a local artist was moving, and giving away a bunch of canvas, and we're picking it up to paint over. Randy wanted them. Thinks they'll be good for cubism pieces, so I said that I would gesso them for her so they're ready, and I've got some time, so that's what I'm going to do. So, 15 pieces to gesso right now. Oh, I almost did it again. I almost packaged everything and then was like, oh yeah, I made an Etsy sale. So I made an Etsy sale today. It's my first sale with 2 different pieces. This is supposed to be like this, by the way. It's actually called, keep in mind this is supposed to be something beautiful, and I really like it. And yeah, it is very much supposed to be this way. And then this one, which is Parallel Universe, which is the second last piece I think I made, or maybe the very last one. No. Second last piece that I've finished. Yeah, so both of these are headed to Ottawa, and I just thought I would show you them before I go, before they go. Again, this is the first time someone has bought 2 pieces at once, so that's kind of cool, and keeping it in Canada, I don't mind that. So, this is a thing that I've heard about from a couple different people at different times, just in passing. It's like people stop getting into new music in their 30s, and I just had this moment today where I was like, I wonder, I mean, I've pondered on it before and thought, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, I don't know, and reflected on that as someone who's in their 30s, and I just had this moment now where I was like, I bought a couple albums the other day, first time in a while, and I had listened to 2.5 of them already just in the car while I was commuting to work and back. And I was like, oh, I should probably finish listening to that other album. And I was like, I'm just not in the mood for it. I mean, sometimes you're just not in the mood, whatever. I'm not in the mood to listen to something new. And I wanted something very comforting and a certain type of feel and whatever. That happens to be something like an album that I know pretty darn well and I've listened to for a long time. And then I was just thinking, like, I buy new music. I'm into new music. I want new music. Like, that's never stopped. But I have much less time and energy, especially time, to devote to the listening of new music. And I'm not familiar with a lot of the things that I have because I can buy music at a faster rate than I can get acquainted to it. Part of it is just because I listen to podcasts so much more than, before podcasts existed, I was listening to music pretty much every time I could have been listening to a podcast, I'd be listening to music. And now I listen to podcasts more than I listen to music. And one of those things, I guess this is kind of a branch off of the main topic here, is that I've said this before, but when I'm listening to music, that can be a very reflective practice. Well, that's not the part I've said before. What I've said before is that I listen to podcasts so much, not just to accompany me, not just to learn about new things and or have entertainment. Part of it is a distraction. And if I don't have a podcast, I find like I'm getting this flood of thoughts and reflection that sometimes is really uncomfortable. And I need to embrace that discomfort, obviously, and have those times where I can just reflect, like showers, for instance. Like, that's a scenario where I never used to listen to a podcast in a shower, partially because like not having a Bluetooth speaker and whatever else, and now I do, so I do that. But that was a time where it was like forced reflection, and one of the only times. And then, I usually in the past have been a pretty good sleeper, so if I'm like, hey, if I want to go to sleep, I'm falling asleep within a couple minutes, and that's kind of it. But the past year or so, sometimes it just gets more difficult, and I've got a flood of thoughts and whatever, I need to write them down, or just I keep thinking about them anyway. But music is a really good in-between. It's a really good middle ground because it's a reflective practice. I don't listen to it as intently as I do a podcast. With a podcast, like I said, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of things that it's like watching a movie, at least for me, that like I need to watch the visuals and listen to it, and it's like listening to music is different than listening to a podcast. Like listening to a really important lecture that someone is giving for a final or something that you have coming up, or I don't know, you know, but it's like music, I can fully enjoy it. The amount of attention that I need to fully enjoy it is different than the amount of attention I would need to dedicate to listening to a podcast, simply just because just the style of auditory information and how it's being expressed is just calls for a different attention span, a different amount of cognitive I don't know the word that I need to use next, but anyway, I don't know. Those are just some realizations that I just was having right now, and just like, that's the thing. Like, do I stop listening to go back to the original point? Do I really, in my 30s, is that thing? I stop listening to new music? Like, I have a hunger for new music, and I just don't have the time, or don't make enough time to really listen to the new stuff I get. And I think that might be a part of it, but I definitely haven't lost the desire. False. I have obviously lost the desire somewhat, because I don't make it a priority like I used to. I mean, before it was just natural, like in high school, with the amount of time I had, it wasn't very difficult. Or when I was commuting to university and back and doing whatever. But podcasts weren't a thing that I listened to until like 2015. Yeah, I didn't listen to a podcast until 2015. So before that, it was all just filled with music and stuff. So anyway, I've obviously lost a little bit of desire because I have prioritized other things ahead of it. But it's not a complete shift and not a complete loss in desire is what I was trying to get to. Anyway, so I've decided that this painting is done now. I think it is going to be called Sunset on Hindsight. This is going to be kind of a one-off. I don't know if I'd ever make a painting that looks like this again, just because it happened in a weird way. I put down a whole bunch of background and was like, this will just be to inform the piece later. But then it sat there for so long, and before I got to it again, that it really did. Like, I was in such a different place. It just didn't make sense, and I've worked with it at 3 or 4 different sessions to get it to where it is, and I feel comfortable with where it is, but it's very just outside my color palette, which isn't a bad thing. This by itself I could work with, but that with like the black and this green was really screwing things up. There was so much of it. I learned more about my color palette by doing this, and I think that I resolved it, so that's good. Now the other thing is, I picked up this Satin Finish, which I've been really curious about, and I really want to give it a shot. So, I'm going to use the Satin Finish on the big part, and just the regular finish that we use, the regular varnish, the gloss on this top part, and see kind of what the difference is. I thought this is a good piece to try it on. I could have just made like a small thing on paper or whatever and just tried a little bit here and tried a little bit there and had them side by side that way, but I decided to not do that, so we'll see what happens. So I'm hoping you can see this. Something that Randi brought up the other day when she used our regular finish when on a piece that was primarily latex acrylic bucket paint, is that this was happening. It's not really absorbing, which is part of, I guess, the makeup, the chemical makeup of that paint, is that it's kind of repellent to some things, including the finish. So you can see it just kind of like it was all fully covered, and now it is created some spots where it is not on there, and being pushed away. So that is something to take note of when I use this paint, that I might have to use a spray finish on it, which I don't really want to do, or I don't really want to do no finish. I might have to just invest in a better spray finish that is more professional grade, is what I might have to do. Well, I got some hair dye here that I'm going to use for painting, maybe the bleach too. Or maybe that'll just screw up the canvas. I don't really know how strong it is. I mean, it goes in people's hair. So, Randi dyed her hair, and then I dyed her hair. She dyed her hair once by herself, and then 2 days later I kind of went over and fixed it. I've never dyed hair before. But I have used hair dye in a painting before. One of the first abstracts I ever did. One of the first meaning like in the first 5 or 6 that I ever did. I actually used red hair dye. I don't remember where I got it. And yeah, it was in there. There was other stuff in there too, spray paint and stuff. But yeah, I've used it before. That was a very long time ago. That was like 15 years ago. And I haven't really had hair dye in my possession since, but it's like leftover. She doesn't need it. So we got some Splat and some Arctic Fox. Pink. This like nice like orangey yellow pink. Like, I mean, if I combine an orange and yellow, not orange, what am I thinking? Pink and yellow. It's got this like strawberry-ish, not like a real strawberry, like a, I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. It's this color that I call like strawberry lemonade sometimes, that I really like making with some of the magenta and the yellow golden acrylics. But that's what it looks like. It's this light pink with some, feels like it has some orange in it or something anyway. And this dark blue, which will be lighter on the, what's inside of the bottle. And this, which is also a little lighter on inside of the, I guess all of these are a little lighter, but that one's pretty true to the color it'll be. And then yeah, we got some bleach, so we'll see how that works out. Just going to be playing around with stuff today and see what happens. Well, I didn't get as much work done today as I thought I was going to, but I did. I think this is done. I'm pretty sure this is done. And I think I have titled it already, which I'm not going to try to pronounce. But it is KOI space NO space YOKAN, which is a Japanese phrase, which some people say loosely translates to kind of like a premonition of love, or like a love at first sight or something. But it's also the name of a Deftones album, which I was listening to, and I really like what's going on here. It's definitely different for me. I did another one today that is not done. This is maybe done. This one I know is, I love it. I think it's beautiful, but I think I need to do more, and that might be my downfall. My downfall, that I'm like, oh, I need to do something with this over here, or like whatever, and then ruining it. It's a possibility I might just friggin' wreck it, but I'm going to try to do something else with it. I love this color combination. I had a whole podcast with Randy where we talked about the ugliest colors ever, the worst colors ever, and why, and gray was mine. And I feel like I utilized it here in a way that I like. And I like what's going on here. It's not done, for sure not done. But next time I'm in the studio, hopefully I'm in the mood to do that. I was going to use the hair dye and stuff over there on that piece, but I didn't get to it yet. So, one, like 99% done could mean that 1%, if I'm like, oh, it needs a little something, it could blow up, and then it'll only be 50% done because I've screwed something up and have to fix it. And this one, well, let's just say it's 99% done, because I mean, I would just, if it is finished, I need to put a finish on it, and then let that dry. And this, I would say, is like 75% done. I think it just needs a little something, but again, that 75% could just be like, oh, now it's actually like 25% done, I guess. Oops. So we'll see. But I started reading this book here also today. Randy picked this up for me at Big John's. The giant size Andy Warhol comprehensive visual biography. And so I got into it, only a couple pages in, but it's a big format, large format, so a couple pages is, decent. Yeah, I got that's as far as I got today. And next time I'm in here, maybe we'll get into that. So, successful studio day. Whew. Let's see what tomorrow brings us. How could I forget Pandora. Welcome, Pandora, to the studio. That makeshift thing there, I hope, stays. We will see, or else Pandora will face the same fate that Lynette did. So I had Lynette here, a plant, and it was hung up higher on that screw in the corner, and the hook was thicker. It was this one here, and it just ended up falling. It just was like too much weight on the one side and just fell to her death. And yeah, this is Pandora, who is a similar plant as Lynette. And Lynette was thriving once she moved over here because she was over there and it was too close, too much light. So this is Pandora, and gotta thank Randy for bringing her to the studio as a gift for me, which is really a gift for her. However, I do want studio plants for sure, and I also thought that up here little plants could go. But the thing is, they have to be, like, I could take that stuff off the shelf, and it's like 4 inches wide, but they have to be sturdy enough. The plants have to be robust enough to be able to handle the spray paint dust. I want plants in here as partially a filtration system, because this window behind the curtains does not open. It's a large, nice window. It's beautiful when I open the blinds or the curtains or whatever, the drapery, but it lets in a lot of natural light, but I've got no ventilation, I've got no open window, I've got no fresh air. So, anyway. I just sold 2 spray paint tip necklaces to Germany, and I forgot to show you them before I packed them in the envelope here, and that's super well packed. So, not going to show you that. Not going to unpack it. I also picked up the Steal Like an Artist journal from Indigo. I had to order it online. It's got some prompts and stuff, and I haven't looked at it yet. I just opened it with one hand while I've been recording. So, I'm going to check that out at home. And there's this thing with Canada Post where now in the new year they say that you have to, and I've heard some discrepancies on that, you have to do customs online, which I tried to do, and it's not working. So this thing that I have to do, and then someone else said, no, you don't have to, it doesn't work. So that's really cool. So I'm going to go to Canada Post and figure that out. Also, something has screwed up royally here, which sucks because I really like this piece. I put a finish on it, and it like did that thing where it like sat on top, so it looked like tiger stripes almost. In some spots it was there and it was good, in other spots it wasn't. So I tried to put a matte finish over it, a spray finish, in order to fix it, and now it's like breaking up the paint, and it's really messed up. I don't like it. It was flat before. I shouldn't have put a finish on it at all, and I can't recreate it exactly the same if I were just to try to spray paint over that. I've got these pinks here and stuff, so I don't really know what is going to become of this piece, but I'm really annoyed. That is my artist struggle right now. That's what's up. Gotta get a gastroscopy done. Well, we had a little mishap. This apparatus that was up there holding Pandora in place, because the wall is just won't take the screws, it eventually fell. I mean, we duct taped it really, really well, and it eventually just fell, and Pandora was just sitting down here, just hanging out. I don't know for how long, but long enough. Wasn't good. So a lot of her leaves died, and she's in rough shape. So keeping her there for now. She'll get some indirect sunlight and some direct sunlight, and hopefully, hopefully that helps after the fall. And then I don't know where to put her permanently. Like, I could put her on that screw, but it just the way it angles. It's just, I don't know. We'll have to try something out in a couple of days. Also, a mishap. I really liked this when it was first done, a lot better than it is now. I put a satin finish on it, and it didn't like the spray paint, and it did this weird thing. It's really hard to see, but it just like I applied it smoothly, and it just formed little puddles and left some places dry, and the finish looked really weird. So I put a matte finish on it, and like a spray finish, thinking I could try to reverse that, and then all this cracking happened. And I really don't like it. But I think if I spray paint over it, it's just going to happen again. And if I do spray paint, I'm going to lose these bits of pink. Also, it'll be really hard to get this perfect line again. It was, yeah. None of that happened with the gold leaf part. It just happened with the part that was spray painted. So, in the future, if I do that again with a satin finish or like a brush-on finish, I'm just going to have to do it maybe a couple times to get it to go on the whole thing. I'm definitely not going to put a spray finish on top because this cracking I do not like. This is a draw. This has to, like, I'm not going to redo this. The texture's really bothering me quite a lot, but I can't really do much without sacrificing so much more. So I'm going to leave it and call it done. And that's it. So, my little visit to the hospital to get a gastroscope. I don't remember what it's called. Gastroscopy. There it is. So Barrett's esophagus, I forgot the name of that, but apparently it's that thing that I have that is related to the globus and the acid reflux and stuff. So there's all this information about that. And what do they find here? Oh, there you go. That's yummy. So these are pictures that they took, screenshots of the video from. I don't know what half the stuff means, so cool. Recommendations that I should be taking my acid reflux medication every day, which I have been slowly weaning off, but I guess I'm not to do that now. It says some stuff that I don't understand. There's a biopsy taken, something 2 centimeters at a G junction in the area of the esophagus that represents Barrett's esophagus. Biopsy's taken there. And they're going to arrange a follow-up appointment with me. So, yeah, this stuff looks disgusting. That looks like not supposed to be there. Blood or something. This just looks like salmon and sushi and also gross butthole stuff or something. I don't know. Anyway, so that's how that went. As for that being the first time I had ever been sedated, that was cool, I guess. Now I know there's no concern about that. Like, I'm not allergic to it or anything. They were just like, hey, I'm going to turn this on now. And I was like, okay. Like, they had already gone through what was going to happen. And then the lady turned it on. And then there was no counting. There was nothing. And within a couple seconds, I was just out. I woke up like 45 minutes later in a different room. And I was like, okay, did they do it? Did they do the thing? Like, I was like, I'm somewhere else now, so they must have done it. And the procedure was only like a 5-minute procedure. So 45 minutes later, waking up, yeah, that was something else. And just, yeah, I was not that out of it. I could have easily driven home. I got tired later and took like an hour nap. So like, but as for them being like, you can't drive, it was just a mess. It was a clusterfluff. I'm glad that I had a driver. So, yeah, I guess we will find out. My phone call follow-up thing is next week. So, I guess I will update you then and see you on the other times.